In this video, I'm looking at the track Oh My Soul by Big Star. And on certain days, I think I'd describe Big Star as my favourite band ever. And certainly any day of the week, they'd be in the top 10. And previously on this channel, I've looked at their song September Girls. And I think I said in that video that I'm somewhat reluctant to look at the music of some of my favourite artists in my videos and turn their wonderful songs into content, hashtag content on my YouTube channel. But I'm trying to get over that. And I hope that in a way I'm doing some kind of service to guitar playing Big Star fans by sitting down and nerdily figuring all of this stuff out. And also hope that perhaps I'm introducing the music of Big Star to those of you who are unfamiliar with it. Now let me begin by playing through a bit of this track. It's quite an epic track, lots of stuff going on, so I'm not going to play it from beginning to end, but I will whiz through some of the highlights and then I'll break down what's going on. So this is the opening song on Radio City, Big Star's second album. And I think the title Radio City comes from that kind of 70s speak thing where you used to add city to the end of certain phrases as a kind of intensifier. And I think the idea was to say that, yeah, Radio City, this album's so great, it's got so many hit singles on it that it's Radio City. But those of you who know the Big Star story know that it didn't really work out that way for them. Now, this is not necessarily my favourite Big Star song, but in terms of the guitar playing, I think it's one of their most interesting tracks. And it really does make you realise what a genius Alex Chilton was. I mean, clearly he was a songwriting genius, but his guitar playing was so inventive and so beautifully done. All of these really interesting parts crammed into this song. And I kind of vaguely knew how to play the main riff to this one already, but I sat down this week and just done a really detailed transcription of it, and there's so much good stuff in there, and it just makes you realise what a stunning guitar player he was. And I was lucky enough to see Big Star play a few years back in one of their reunion shows when they came to London, and it was Alex Chilton, Jody Stevens on drums, and then the two guys from the Posies were in the band as well. It was a fantastic show. I think we were quite lucky. I mean, Alex Chilton's got a reputation as being a bit of an erratic live performer, but caught him on a really good night, and that's a really great memory having seen them live. Anyway, let's get into this track, and I'm going to try and explore all of the parts in it and go into as much detail as I can within the confines of a 20-minute or so YouTube video. But for those of you who want extra detail, I have done this in-depth transcription, which is going to be up on my Patreon page. Okay, let's get into this then, starting with the introduction, which is the same as the verse, more or less. And we're kicking off with this kind of a unison idea. We're in the key of A, and we're sliding up to this A note at the 5th fret on the low E, and we're going between that and the open A string. And the key thing here, I think, is the timing. It's one of those deceptive intros. Usually when you've got a guitar intro, you assume that the first note you hear is the one, but it's not the one in this case. And I'm kind of feeling this as kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, and then that last note is the 1. So we're coming in just after 3. 1, 2, 3. And then we're into this kind of funky strummed part, and it's all based around this chord shape here. It's an A6 chord. So starting on the D string, we've got frets 7, 6, 7 and 5. So you've got a root, a third, that's your major 6th, and then we've got another root note on top. And if you like, you can use your thumb round the top to get a low root note, or sometimes I think it's the open A string. The actual strumming pattern varies a little bit, but mostly it seems to be this. So you're just squeezing down the chord when you want to hear it, and then in between those chord hits you just got some funky scratching. It's got kind of 16th note grooves, so you want to just keep your pick and your strumming hand moving all of the time. And we've got this kind of pattern. It's 1, down, up, down, up, down, up, up. Down, up, down, up, down, up, up. And then just moving up towards the 4 chord, which is going to be a D6 chord. So just moving 1 fret at a time. All of those are on upstrokes of the pick. And then we're hitting the D chord, a D6 chord up at the 10th fret. This is the 4 chord in the key of A. It's the same shape and the same strumming pattern. And sometimes I'm just adding in that low root note on beat 1 with my thumb. And then working my way back down to the A chord again. And then we've got this little move here. So a little side step, we're just going 1 fret below the A and then back to the A6 again. And then we're coming down to the open position, and we've got this. It's really an arpeggiated E sus4 E chord. So holding down that E shape, hitting the low root note. And then I'm hammering down to the 2nd fret on the G. That's the 4th, so you get that sus4 sound. And I'm pulling off back to the E chord shape, the E major shape. So that's the exact picking pattern that I'm hearing. And then the second time it's just slightly abbreviated. With the fingering here, you've got some options. I'm holding down that E chord and then I'm just releasing the full shape, using fingers 1 and 2 to get that sus4 sound, and then I'm falling back into that E chord shape. You could, if you've got very small fingers, use your pinky, your little finger, to get that sus4. That's quite a squeeze even for me, and I've got very skinny fingers. Next we've got this. Again, some great chord voicings we've got in this song. So we've got a diminished shape here. So starting on the D string, we've got frets 7, 8, 7 and 8. So it's like an A diminished 7 chord. And then we're just moving the notes on the first and third strings 1 fret higher to this shape. So we've now got 7, 9, 7, 9, and this is another voicing of an A6 chord. So we've got that diminished chord just moving to the A6. And sometimes just sliding into that diminished chord, I think. And ending with a quick down, up, down strum. And then we're back round for the first verse. And altogether that sounds like this. 2, 3. So that all repeats for the first verse, and then we've got this little link section which is mostly just muted scratches. We've got this A6 chord and then some scratches, and then we're into the next section, and the whole arrangement for this song is quite complex actually. There are 4 or 5 main sections. I'm not quite sure what to call some of these bits, but the next bit goes like this. We've got this. So it's based off of this A chord or an A power chord, so just playing that with my first finger. And then we've got this very common move where you're putting down this F sharp and this D, so you've basically got a D triad with an A in the bass. So, and then some little fills, all of these based around the A major pentatonic scale. So we've got so little bend at the 4th fret on the 3rd string. And I'm coming down to this F sharp here, just hammering down on that note at the 4th fret on the D. You can't really hear it that clearly on the recording, but I think it's there and it helps with the timing. And then we're coming back to that power chord. I'm just hammering down that F sharp with my 3rd finger. So, and the second time, slight variation. Just playing that power chord twice, and then another variation. So another major pentatonic lick. And then a further variation, so bending here, 5th fret on the B, and then 4th fret on the G. And then we got the next section, which is another great guitar part, and this is all played with thirds on the A and D strings, and we've got the low E string kind of droning away through this part. So I'm thinking E major thirds, or maybe E mixolydian technically, because you've got that D natural in there. And we're starting up here, so 12 and 11 on the A and the D, and then we're just coming down diatonically. You've got the major third, minor, minor, and major, and you've got that low E string in between those thirds. And then a little, just some single notes, B, C sharp, E, C sharp. we've got this, more thirds. And then this. Rhythm changed a little bit there. And finally, so I've got the low E and 14 on the A, 12 on the D. So all of that section. Then we've got a little linking section, so I'm playing a D chord, just a kind of thumb over the top bar chord, and a little fill based on the D major pentatonic. So quite a few little country bends and things going on here. So got this shape here, so bending an E up to an F sharp, got that A on top, and then just playing open A and an A at the 7th fret on the D, and then there's another little fill. Again, coming out of the D major pentatonic, it's a kind of Hendrixy or soul style fill. And then I think we're back to that section once again. We've got another little section here. It kind of goes to B minor, never you right, and leading into that with a nice diminished arpeggio. So I'm just playing this at the 5 and 8 on the D, and it's going up in minor thirds. A few different ways you could play that, but that's my favoured fingering. Then we're hitting the B minor chord, and the part goes like this. So starting off with a B minor chord, it's just a B minor bar chord down at the 2nd fret, and we're just arpeggiating that chord. So sometimes you're just lifting up the 2nd finger for that B sus2 sound. And then going to F sharp minor, really just hearing an F sharp power chord. And then a little pentatonic based fill. It's kind of playing it around the chord, so it's an F sharp minor pentatonic fill. Back to the B minor. I think I can hear just a little slide up here, so coming out of the B minor and just with the 1st finger sliding up to the 7th fret on the D, G, B. And they've got another fantastic part here. So outlining kind of an E to A sound, but we've got open strings here, so low E and then 11 on the A, and just moving that over to the next pair of strings. And we've got this kind of bluesy bend, so bending at the 10th fret on the D up to the major 3rd of the A. Fantastic part. Let me finish by talking about the solo then. I don't want to overload you with information, but it is quite a complex song and there's a lot going on here. And it is a fantastic solo. I think if you've got the time and the energy, it's one that's going to be worth learning note for note. There's lots of nice licks and vocabulary in there. It kicks off like this. So playing over an E chord here, and the opening licks are based on E major pentatonic. Now, I'm not going to describe every single note here. I have done a really detailed tab, so if you're a super big star nerd, you want to learn this note for note, then I suggest you check that out. Then we've got this. It's still E major pentatonic, into this. So more pentatonic stuff, that kind of Chuck Berry thing. Then the harmony changes to A, and we've got some licks based on A major pentatonic. So starting off on our root note, we're kind of sliding up through the positions of the A major pentatonic. And we've got another kind of country bending lick here. So bending the B up to a C sharp. And you've got the high E on top. Next we've got this, which is another really great lick. So this still A major pentatonic, but we've come up to the 14th position. Another kind of country idea, this one. Then we're back to E, and we've got this. So nice use of open strings here. Little melody on the B string, but we've got the open top string ringing out. And then I think coming to this kind of E triad, or it's a kind of third shape here, G sharp and B. You've got the open top string once again. And just bending that G sharp, so you've got that E to E sus4 sound. And the solo ends with more thirds, this time on the B and G strings. It's kind of E Mixolydian thirds. And once again we've got the open top string ringing sometimes as well. And then we're back into the next bit of the song, whatever that is, I can't remember. Let me try and put all of that together. I've not totally nailed this solo, I have to confess. I only figured it out yesterday, but let me just try and put it together so you've got a slow playthrough of the solo on video. Let's talk gear then, and for me the guitar sounds that you've got on those classic Big Star records are some of the greatest guitar sounds ever. That's just how electric guitars should sound. I love the jangliness and the chime, but there's also a bite to those sounds as well, and a rawness, and it sounds to me very much like a Strat through an AC30. Can't be certain about this, I couldn't find any definite information. I'm sure Alex Chilton used various different guitars in the studio as he did live. And I think I read somewhere that the amp used on a lot of the Big Star stuff was just some kind of Ampeg combo that was just sitting around in the studio. So maybe it's that and not an AC30. But certainly for me, the Strat and the AC30 combo seems to work really well for this kind of thing. So I'm using this Strat. It's a 60s reissue Strat. It seemed best to go with this pickup position. So the in-between pickup position between bridge and middle, that seemed to give the kind of tone I'm hearing on the recording. Then going into the AC30 and a little bit of drive from the J-Rocket Archer. I can't really turn up my AC30 in this kind of studio situation, so I've got that on reasonably quiet and just getting some drive from the overdrive pedal. So let me just give you some sounds. This is just the guitar straight into the AC30. switch on the overdrive. That's it for this video. Hope you enjoy learning this song. If you would like to see my transcription, my tab, then that's going to be up on my Patreon page. Pay what you like and you can get access to that. And I have gone all out on this one. It's a 6 or 7 page transcription. I've tried to get the entire track more or less note for note, so check that out if you're interested. If you want more Big Star, as I said at the start of this video, I have done a video on September Girls, so you'll be able to find that elsewhere on this channel. Thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you next time.